A night or two after the departure of my comrade, I was sitting by my bedroom fire, the door locked, when I heard a step on the flight of stairs descending from the attics. It was 2:00, and the streets were as silent as a churchyard. The sounds were, therefore, perfectly distinct. There was a slow, heavy tread, characterized by the emphasis and deliberation of age, descending by the narrow staircase from above. And, what made the sound more singular, it was plain that the feet which produced it were perfectly bare, measuring the descent with something between a pound and a flop, very ugly to hear. I knew quite well that my attendant had gone away many hours before, and that nobody but myself had any business in the house. It was quite plain, also, that the person who was coming downstairs had no intention whatever of concealing his movements, but on the contrary, appeared disposed to make even more noise and proceed more deliberately than was at all necessary. When the step reached the foot of the stairs outside my room, it seemed to stop, and I expected every moment to see my door open spontaneously. I was, however, relieved in a few seconds by hearing the descent renewed, just in the same manner, upon the staircase leading down to the drawing-rooms, and thence, after another pause, down the next flight, and so on to the hall, whence I heard no more. I listened, but there was not a stir. I screwed up my courage to a decisive experiment, opened my door, and in a stentorian voice bawled over the banisters, "Who's there?" There was no answer, but the ringing of my own voice through the empty old house, no renewal of the movement. Nothing, in short, to give my unpleasant sensations a definite direction. There is, I think, something most disagreeably disenchanting in the sound of one's own voice under such circumstances, exerted in solitude and in vain. It redoubled my sense of isolation, and my misgivings increased on perceiving that the door, which I certainly thought I had left open, was closed behind me. In a vague alarm, lest my retreat should be cut off, I got again into my room as quickly as I could, where I remained in a state of imaginary blockade, and very uncomfortable indeed, till morning. Next night brought no return of my barefooted fellow-lodger, but the night following, being in my bed, and in the dark somewhere, I suppose, about the same hour as before, I distinctly heard the old fellow again, descending from the garrets. I jumped out of bed, clutched the poker as I passed the expiring fire, and in a moment was upon the lobby. The sound had ceased by this time. The dark and chill were discouraging, and guess my horror when I saw, or thought I saw, a black monster, whether in the shape of a man or a bear I could not say, standing with its back to the wall, on the lobby, facing me, with a pair of great greenish eyes shining dimly out. For this apparition, after one or two shiftings of shape, as if in the act of incipient transformation, began, as it seemed on second thoughts, to advance upon me in its original form. From an instinct of terror rather than of courage, I hurled the poker with all my force at its head, and to the music of a horrid crash made my way into my room and double-locked the door. Then in a minute more, I heard the horrid bare feet walk down the stairs, till the sound ceased in the hall, as on the former occasion. If the apparition of the night before was an ocular delusion of my fancy sporting in the dark outlines of our cupboard, I had at all events the satisfaction of having launched the poker with admirable effect. I did my best to gather comfort and courage from these evidences, but it would not do. And then what could I say of those horrid bare feet and the regular tramp, 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 which measured the distance of the entire staircase through the solitude of my haunted dwelling, and at an hour when no good influence was stirring? Confound it! The whole affair was abominable.